This is Dance Studio 411, where we answer your real-life questions about your toughest studio life predicaments. Parent problems, teacher turnover, student challenges, policy dilemmas, and so much more. Let's talk about what's keeping you awake at night and what you can do about it. Here are your hosts, Suzanne Blake Garrity and Jill Tirone.
Welcome to this episode of the Dance Studio 411 podcast. I'm Jill Tirone, and I'm here with Patty Rielley today. Hi, Patty.
Hi, Jill. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy you're here as well. So we're talking today about recital themes, performance themes, all good things about themes, to theme or not to theme. So, Patty, I am thrilled to hear what you have to say and your take on the theme subject.
This is really, I think, one of the biggest questions that all studio owners have, or it's just not even a question at all. That's just what they do. So I think everybody can relate to this theme of the podcast.
Oh, I love how you throw that in. So, Patty, why don't you give a little background on you for our listeners? Because not everybody knows that you're a part of our Great Revolution team. You work with us as our rewards manager, and you work really well with me on all of the content that we bring to our members and obviously to this podcast. So we would love to hear more about you, and then we'll dive right into this great podcast.
Sounds great. I started working for Revolution a few years ago because I really love everything about it. I love the customer service. I love the costumes, which really is actually how that got me into this whole theme. But I was a dance studio owner for about 17 years. My husband and I owned a dance and music studio. That might be another podcast that we do at some point. And really just enjoyed every part of what I did. I bought my studio from my dance teacher, and then I wound up selling it to one of my dance students, and I work with her a lot right now. So after I sold it to her, I worked with a couple other studios, and I continue to do that through our dance studio owner membership, our Facebook group, and really just great ways to say, hey, these are things that worked for me. And we talk about it with everyone else, what has worked for you, and let's just make this dance community a wonderful place.
I love that. And Patty, you have such a great perspective and bring such good talking points and questions and answers to our members. So let's dive right in with some recital themes. What about to theme or not to theme? We hear this question a lot. Is it good to theme? Is it not good to theme? What can we do with a theme? So let's hear that.
Absolutely. So we did a panel on this at our Energize conference this summer, and it was really interesting to hear different points of view. I would say a good majority of the people do theme, but we had some that were very, very reluctant to do it. And my question is, why not? Why not theme? I think what are the downsides to it? Maybe it's too restrictive. I think that's what people said. My teachers don't like it. They feel that they are boxed in. And there are so many ways to do themes that give you so much freedom. So honestly, if there's a reason why not to do it, that would be it. And with the song choices on Spotify and Apple Music and all the different resources you have, there's great ways to find music, to find costumes that will fit every single theme. Reasons for it, it gets the kids so excited. Oh my goodness, everyone's talking about what's the theme this year? What are we going to do? What are you going to wear? Who are you going to be? And that just generates the excitement through your whole studio. That helps to continue retention. Those students that were in it last year can't wait until next year. It actually helps them talk to their friends, bring new students in. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we're doing candy this year. That's my favorite. Who doesn't love candy, right? I love candy. I want to be in the candy recital. There's so many fun activities that you can do around your theme. So you've got gifts that come up. A lot of people do extra t-shirts, or maybe they have little gift things for it. All the holiday things that you can do, you have little snowmen that you can give away and little reindeer. So many extra things go along with what your theme is. Make it personalized to your studio. Really, really just finding ways to make it interesting for your families. They're excited. They want to be part of it. They can't wait to hear about the next one.
Great. And that goes right into one of the next points. But before we jump in about how to communicate your theme to your dance families, let's talk about first managing the faculty's expectations when it comes to the theme, because you mentioned that that's a little bit of the pushback. Oh, they feel a little restricted. They may not have the thought that they have control over their song choices or costume choices. What advice can you give the studio owner who's thinking about implementing a theme for maybe the first time or reintroducing themes again when they've gotten some pushback from faculty?
That's really good. Project management. This is something we talk a lot about at Dance Studio Owner, but project management. If you have the tools in place to communicate to your faculty and say, this is what we're doing. Here are some ideas. Here's how I want to hear your ideas. Let's get that feedback coming back and forth. What are your concerns? What are your excitement about it? And then making sure that everybody knows if they, a lot of times with a really good theme, people have, I want to get this song. I want to get this costume. I want first choice. Well, that's a way to do it as well. If you have a good place for all of these ideas to go, whether that's a Trello board or a Google Sheet or something else that you use at your studio, you can start planning that out from the very, very beginning. Here's our theme. Here are possible song choices. Here are possible costumes. Take your pick. See what you think. What are some ideas that you have? Maybe another teacher has 5 ideas and they only have 3 classes. Somebody else has those ideas. So as long as you've got a good place to keep that, all the information and communicate back and forth, you should have smooth sailing.
And also too, we may talk about this at someplace else in your podcast today, Patty, but the introduction of AI for all things ideas and bringing up different song choices and, plugging a good prompt, and we can provide one in the show notes, plugging in a good prompt into an AI tool like Claude or ChatGPT can really give some amazing ideas that we haven't thought about when it comes to a different theme or a particular theme, especially one that might feel a little tight, right? There might not be as many things that you can do with a certain theme.
Absolutely. AI, I do know some people are a little afraid of it. And it's because we don't know, right? It's something that is unknown to us. And the more that you use it, you can use as much or as little as you want. You may have all of your ideas. That's great. Get those out first and then check with AI and see, do they have something else? Or they can refine your list, or they can say, that's a lot of gumdrops in your candy theme. Maybe you need to have some other ones. But yeah, use AI to help you out, get those ideas going. And it's a really, really great resource.
Awesome. Okay, Patty. So let's move on to communicating now with the family. So we've talked a little bit about to theme or not to theme. We've talked about how to manage the faculty's expectations or maybe some of their pushback when it comes to a theme. What now do we do about providing the information and getting the excitement built around giving the theme out to the families and the students?
So communicating the theme can be done in so many different ways. Many people do a big reveal. So this is the time at Christmas time, at holiday time, they reveal the theme for the spring recital. At the spring recital, they reveal the theme for the winter recital or a summer show. So there can certainly be a big reveal, which again, that's where that excitement comes in. Some people that do that actually tease out little clues throughout the year. They'll do it on social media. Can you guess the recital theme this year? And they drop in little things and people are submitting their guesses. Some people put in big boards at their studio. This is what I think it is. And some of it, they have good guesses. You're like, oh, would that be a really great theme for next year? That's not what I was going to do, but that gives you ideas of what the kids would like to do or what they're interested in. I know Barbie is a big theme from the last couple of years. those are some of those things that come up. So certainly a big reveal is very fun and interesting. It gets that whole excitement around, do you do it on a big social media? There are some studios that do a whole video reveal. Oh my goodness. It has songs, it has costumes, it has graphics all over the place. And I watched it, I think 4 times. It's not my studio. I don't go there. I don't live anywhere near them. And I was so excited to be a part of their big studio reveal. So doing something on social media, I would definitely recommend, because that also tells people that may not be part of your studio what's coming up. Maybe they could join now. That's a great way to do that. And again, these students don't want to miss when they start hearing about it. Maybe you don't reveal it until winter, but in September, you give them a little snippet. In October, you give them something else, maybe a little bit more. These are building that excitement. These kids want to come back week after week to hear the next clue. Then they want to be there for the next reveal. And it really helps to keep them engaged throughout the time before you even reveal the recital, let alone start working on your dances.
Yeah, we're always looking for great ways to promote retention and to keep people and the families and the students engaged throughout the year. And I think this is a really great opportunity to do that. So if you're on the fence about a theme, or you haven't done themes in a while, this might be a good idea to start thinking about retention and engagement ideas for your studio. Great, Patty. Let's move into the big question that gets asked a lot. Does the winter show have to be a nutcracker? Now, we love a good nutcracker. There's no doubt about it. It signals the season. It is a tried and true, beautiful experience during the holidays. But let's expand beyond the nutcracker.
Yes. So first of all, are you doing a holiday show? I would say we probably have many, many studios that do not. They just do one spring recital. That is it. Some people do multiple shows, or you have a company that does something. So there are different ways to incorporate this. I would say that we have some people that don't do a studio-wide winter performance, but their company does that. That's a great way to get more people in your company. Your company takes more classes. That's more revenue for you. You also, it's a little bit easier to manage with a smaller group. But also you have some people that are not part of it then. So do you do a recital for the whole studio? Maybe you have your company in more dances, but everyone else is in something else. So let's do a little bit of a plug for a winter show. Now, that does mean either finding a venue, or that could even be done at your studio, finding creative ways to do that either during classes or on a weekend where people can rotate through, almost like an open house. They go from this room to this room to this room. I mean, so many different ways. So nutcracker, if you're doing a nutcracker, that is a pretty big production, right? But it's traditional. People love Nutcracker. People that have nothing to do with dance want to go see Nutcracker. So now you're talking revenue from places outside of your dance studio. If you have a more recreational, younger students, maybe you hire some professionals to come in to do Sugar Plum, to do the Prince, things like that. Or that could be your older company that comes in. So it's traditional. You will have many people come in. Maybe you rent costumes so that it's not as much of an expense for your students. So everyone wants to be a part of it. I will say too, well, this comes with all all the holiday shows. Doesn't have to be Nutcracker. We have some people that do Nutcracker Suite, SWEET, and they just do basically the second act. And it's really kind of an around the world, right? So anything you want, anything sweet, candy canes and gumdrops, and but it certainly be the flowers and snow is in the first act, but all those things too. So that's where you can put in your acro and your tap and your hip hop. Why not have a Nutcracker with all of those things? How fun would that be? So you can do a Nutcracker with other themes or something else. I know some places do a jazzy Nutcracker, or all things holidays. This is, no business like snow business. That's my super cheesy fun one. So ways to do this too, if you have rehearsals over the summer, you are building that retention. You've got kids now coming in over the summer, have your auditions, have big rehearsals over the summer, and then maybe just a once a week touch-up rehearsal throughout the year. Some people have trouble scheduling all these rehearsals in, or maybe you just start it in the fall and have extra time during the fall to do those rehearsals as well. So I kind of threw in a bunch of things there, but doesn't have to be Nutcracker. If it is, make it fun, include everybody, highlight some of your other dancers, do rehearsals over the summer, make it work for you.
Oh, so many good nuggets in that last little bit, Patty. I really like the fact of thinking about as this podcast is released, we are a little late in the game when we're talking about holiday specifically, but we want to get the wheels turning possibly for next year. Or if you wanted to do an in-studio performance, there's no reason why we can't still pull a holiday show together. So in thinking about this, I love the idea of promoting and getting the holiday show together, maybe even auditioning and giving the students, even though everyone will be included, an audition experience, and then doing some choreographing and teaching during the summer to be ready for the fall and winter and just do some touch-ups. Great way to get bodies in the studio over the summer and or even early start in the fall. That's wonderful. And then the other thing I wanted to mention too is costuming. We'll put a link over. There's so many great holiday costumes right now through Revolution. So we want to make sure that you know all about the great costumes we have for holiday performances and beyond. So this is really great. Oh, like I said, so many things to tease out, but let's talk about, because my wheels are spinning. Let's talk about some of your favorite themes, Patty. And then what we could do is we can really encourage some feedback on this podcast. I'd love to hear what other listeners have in their back pocket as far as their favorite themes, or maybe what they're doing this coming year for their recitals. So, Patty, what's your all-time favorite theme and maybe some of your other additional ones?
I know. And I'm going to share this one because I think it's very different. But some people that have been in business 43 years, how do you come up with 43 themes? Certainly you can reuse some themes, right? Some of the favorites you got to do every few years. You got to come back to them. So I'm going to tell you first some of the fun ones out there, and then I'll tell you my favorite one. So one of the ones I know that I've seen quite a bit lately is From Page to Stage. So taking those favorite classics or not so classics, but books, and then turn them into fun dances. You can usually find a costume that inspires you. Oh my gosh, that reminds me of this. And that goes from that. I like that because it engages your students as well. Did they read that book? Do they know that book? That's another educational experience and tie-in that you can do for your students. Tune in and turn out. This, I think, was one of our members, ones that she's used. So All Things TV, and used commercials, like for quick costume breaks. They did a little commercial. Somebody came in to do that. Somebody did Take Flight, and they had PA announcements throughout. They made it sound like they were on a plane. So anytime you had a little announcements, used boarding passes as their tickets to come in. Again, ways to incorporate pulling in your theme for everything around the world. One of my absolute favorites. I just think you can never, ever go wrong with that. What music? Music is any choice you want. Make it fit. Is it in a different language? Maybe your students have never danced to another language before. What an experience to give them as well. All right. We have a lot of themes on our Dance Studio Owner website as well. We actually have them curated with some playlists for you with costume ideas. But I'm going to tell you, here's my favorite one. And it's just a little bit different. It was called Masterpieces. And we did paintings, sculptures, all of the great artwork from the ages. And we found really, really interesting costumes and songs that fit in with it. So we did Think by Aretha Franklin, and it was the Thinker statue. We found some beautiful watercolor costumes for the Degas. We did the Degas dancers, but we did the Monet's water lilies. And again, we threw up pictures of the actual artwork as the background. We actually did it before they danced, but then people could really see how it fit. Again, these students were engaged. My students 20 years ago, they're talking about this to this day. That was my favorite. I loved it. I go to the Art Institute and I see this painting and I remember being in this dance. So you're creating memories for your students. You're creating educational possibilities and tie-ins, and just a really, really, really good feel.
I think we should end right there, Patty. That you couldn't have closed this podcast out better. That's amazing. My wheels were spinning as you're talking about masterpieces and sculptures, because you could even create your choreography as a whole sculpture, thinking about creating sculpture with the body. So even it doesn't
Yes.
necessarily have to be think by Aretha Franklin, but it could really be something that is creative, inspired by such a good theme. I love it. So Patty, anything else you want to say? I think you close this out really well, but to theme or not to theme is what we're talking about today. We would love your feedback. We would love to know what you're doing, how you're making your themes creative. But Patty, let's close out and get everybody excited about a good theme.
Yes, be daring, be bold, be creative. Get some inspiration from your teachers, from your faculty, from your students, certainly from AI. If you're not sure, if you're on the fence, why not try it? See what's the worst that can happen? Wow, it was a little tough this year. We'll do something else. But I think you will find it makes everything a little more enjoyable. We have a lot of stresses in our dance studio owner life. This can be one of those fun joys that lifts you up and fills the rest of your studio with excitement and happiness.
I love that. Thanks, Patty, for your expertise. Always a joy to speak with you and have you on the podcast.
Thanks, Jill.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Dance Studio 411. Visit us online at dancestudio411.com for more great resources and to submit a question for a future episode. Our number one goal is to help you build a successful dance studio business and keep your passion for dance alive.